whole reason that I decided to go into music and the whole reason why I continued to stay in music was for external validation. But it felt like the more time that I was putting into it, the worse I was getting and the worse my mentality was getting. My point is, like, don't be afraid to admit that you're struggling. Don't be afraid to admit that you're on the wrong path. That, guys, like, I'm literally here making YouTube videos that nobody else, that I feel like nobody's watching, okay? You know, I've never really opened up about my past as a musician, and I think part of the reason is because it took me a really, really long time to figure out why things happened the way that they did, and it wasn't something that I really felt confident sharing for a really, really long time. But I just wanted to open up about that today and just tell y'all a little bit about my story. I started playing the French horn when I was 10 years old, 5th grade band, and I had originally promised my friend that I was going to play the saxophone, my best friend at the time, and as we were going around in the room, we were saying what instrument we wanted to play, and of course he said saxophone. Next up it was my turn, and just last second I said French horn, and I realized that I said French horn because I wanted to be different, and I realized that nobody else had chosen to play the French horn, so I became the only one in the band, and it was a really, really great and fun experience. We moved to Illinois the following year, and that's where I got a really good private lesson teacher who kind of like showed me the ropes and showed me how to like properly play the instrument. And this was the first time that I was really getting validation that I was doing something meaningful. You know, I always had my teachers, my friends telling me that, you know, if I wanted to take this professionally, like I could do it. People saying I sounded really good, that I had a natural talent for it. To me, you know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I wasn't really thinking that far down the line. I just enjoyed what I was doing and just kind of stuck with it, and had a lot of friends that were kind of doing the same thing that made it a very enjoyable experience. The following year, after my freshman year of high school, we moved to Iowa, and in Iowa I really became a big fish in a small pond. Just the level of competition was a lot lower, and I was truly able to see how much further ahead I was than other people who were playing my instrument. So I ended up doing, you know, the whole thing, first chair at all states, you know, first in the state of Iowa, and you know, again, a lot of people telling me, you sound really good, you know, a student like you doesn't come around very often, you have to apply to these schools. And I acted on that, and I was getting a lot of validation from playing the French horn, right? I went to a lot of top summer festivals. I pursued opportunities. I won 3 concerto competitions where I was able to solo with different orchestras and got nationally recognized and did all this stuff, right? Pretty much the peak of what a high schooler could achieve in the world of music. And so, of course, when it came to decide what I wanted to do, it was kind of a no-brainer that I was going to go into music, because that just seemed like the natural trajectory that my life was headed down. So I applied to a lot of these top music schools, got into my top school of choice, which was Rice University, which at the time had the #1 French horn program in the country. And this is where things really started to change for me, right? Because pretty much all the way up until high school, it was just fun, right? It was just fun. I was just genuinely just enjoying the aspect of playing my instrument. And when I got to 18 years old, I made a very, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake, but I made a very important life decision. And thinking back on this time frame now, when I was 18, I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted to do. I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I was more so just thinking about what am I good at and what am I getting validation from. And I think if I were to go back and do it again, I probably would not have decided to do music. But with that being said, I'm so glad that I went down that route, because it showed me so much about myself, and it gave me so many life experiences that I know for a fact that if I had not done music, my life would be looking way different now, right? But anyways, I went to Rice as a freshman, right? And the level and the standard is very, very high. And for some context, you know, whenever you would tell somebody that you're an undergrad at Rice, it would kind of be this thing of like, it could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. because a lot of undergrads kind of crumble under the pressure, and then a lot of them really propel and excel in their careers. And part of that has to do with the fact that the music school was very, very competitive. The bar, I guess the quote-unquote bar, was very, very high, and there was a standard that needed to be met all the time. Now this proved to be a big problem for me. It shifted my mindset from simply having fun with my instrument to feeling like I had to perform all the time. And naturally, I'm an overthinker, right? I have a bunch of scientists in my family. Just the fact of me making videos and being more of an entrepreneur and a trainer is just so backwards from like what my family generally does. Because for me, like, my parents wanted me to go to school and get the degree and do the 4 years and then the master's and then the doctorate and do that whole thing, kind of go the stable route. But just deep inside of me, I always felt that I wanted to do something different, whether it be with the French horn or whether it be with what I'm pursuing right now. But essentially, as an overthinker, my biggest thing with the music was, number one, I don't believe that I truly loved it enough to continue. Because if I did, I would still be playing my instrument and I would still be pursuing that. And number two, and this is where it really gets tough, and this is where it really, you know, has forced me to kind of think a lot about this, was I felt like going into school, I was always the hardest worker. I was putting in all the extra hours. I was putting in so much time trying to be the best that I could be. And it was tough because I felt like I was not improving. I was putting in all this time and I just wasn't getting better. And for me, one of the comments that I would always get was, obviously, you know, I needed to have some level of technicality to play my instrument, but one thing that I've always known about myself that people told me when I was a musician is that I have good technique and I have good ability to play the instrument, but I always lacked in the musical and the expressive aspect of it. And I think that lines up so well with who I am as a person and my personality, is that I'm extremely analytical. I'm an extreme overthinker. I'm extremely just in my head a lot of the time. For me, it's more about being expressive and showing people who I really am. And that's what I'm trying to do by making these videos too. Maybe I'm going on a tangent now. I don't have a script, I'm literally just talking at this point. But my point is, okay, when I was in music school, I got to a point my junior year where I was struggling. I was so far gone in my head, overthinking everything, overanalyzing everything, to the point where even just playing my instrument became such a chore. I struggled to play for other people. I would choke under pressure. I had no confidence in my abilities on the instrument, which then translated into no confidence as a person, because literally my instrument was the only thing I knew, and it was the only thing that, you know, was associated with me at the time. And so when that wasn't going well, personally, nothing was going well, and I felt like I was truly on like a downward spiral. And it's interesting when you put in so much time and you put in so much effort into getting better at something, but it seems like you're only getting worse and it seems like you're only regressing. I didn't know why that was happening, and I didn't know what I could do about it, and it truly felt like it was out of my control. And this is like the one thing that took me a really long time to get over, because they always say, like, if you work hard and if you have, you know, if you know what you want, and you just got to work hard for it, and you just got to put in more time. And it felt like the more time that I was putting into it, the worse I was getting and the worse my mentality was getting. And I'm realizing now, like, it's really just because I just wasn't meant to do that. I wasn't meant to be that, right? I kind of forced myself to do something that deep down I didn't really want to do. And so under pressure and when times got tough, it just didn't feel right. And I tried to continue to convince myself that this was the path that I was supposed to go down. And then because I was so insulated in the world of music, everybody around me, there's a sort of expectation, or it's kind of looked down upon whenever you quit. It's kind of looked down upon as in like, oh, he didn't make it, or oh, he failed, right? And what happened was, you know, junior year, my teacher told me, and if you can imagine the relationship, the close-knit, tight relationship that I have with my teacher, he told me, like, you should consider doing something else. And I remember this day so vividly because it was the first time that my mentor, my person that had invested so much into me, my person that I trusted with my future, was basically felt like they were telling me that they didn't believe my future anymore. And that was one of the most defining moments of my 4 years. And couple that with the fact that I think it was like a few months later, the orchestra director, who at the time was a huge figure, the backbone, the spine of the school, pulled me into the office and told me that I should consider doing something else as well. And at that point I knew that I had lost, the confidence and the belief of my closest mentors. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever been in that situation, but it is truly, truly, truly heartbreaking, because I'm there at, 21 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, I've committed 10 to 11 years of my life going after this one single thing. And for these, huge figures in the music world to tell me that I should be doing something else, it really felt like my world was crashing down. And being as stubborn and hot-headed as I am, I was like, screw them. Like, I'm gonna prove them wrong, and I'm gonna show them that this is what I was meant to do. And 5 months later, took a trip to Panama to see family, and I had the realization on that trip that basically the whole reason that I decided to go into music, and the whole reason why I continued to stay in music, was for external validation and the validation of other people. And that was a really, really hard pill to swallow. It's something that stays with me to this day. It's something that affected me in my mentality, in my mindset, in my ability to operate for a good 3 years at least. Just trying to process everything, because this is something that I had committed half my life to. It affected my belief and my confidence as a person in every area of my life. And just kind of sitting with myself, because I've never been really one to open up to people about how I'm really feeling, and I'm trying to be better about that. I'm trying to be more expressive, show more emotion, let people more into my life, because I can tend to be pretty closed off a lot of the time, and I'm also a natural introvert as well. But it was a lot to kind of sit with, and I feel comfortable talking about it now because I feel like I've truly learned the lesson. And the lesson is, or at least what I've taken away, there's this thing that I'm doing and it's not working out. Let me try something else. What's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is I'll grow. I'll grow in some way. I'll learn a new skill. If I feel like there's a hole missing in my life, I can always go back to music. Right here I am 4 years later, and I don't feel a hole. I know that I'm on the right path. But had I been with that thought of I'm scared of what these people are going to think if I quit, or I know I need to do this because I've already committed 10 years to it, I would have still been down that path. I would have still been down that path of no confidence, no belief, feeling like I was not excelling in my field. And it's like, eventually for me, I just had to realize, you live once. You have one life. You have one opportunity to do what you want. You have one opportunity to just, why are you going to live it for the validation of other people? Why are you going to let other people impact the decisions of your life? Because they don't understand what's going on with you. They don't understand the direction that you want to go in. They don't understand any of these things. And 100 years from now, everybody is going to be dead. We're all going to be dead. We're all going to be forgotten. None of this is going to matter anyways. And so for me, it almost became this thing of I got into the gym eventually, and the gym was like the one place where I felt like if I actually put in the time, I could actually see real, tangible effort and real, tangible results. And that's what kind of got me hooked onto the gym, because I was putting in all this time as a musician, putting in all this practice, all these hours, and I wasn't seeing any growth. And so for me, the gym became that one place where I started to see growth, that one place where I started to make tangible changes in my life. And originally I had gotten into it because there was a girl I wanted to date, and eventually it turned into an extrinsic motivator, into an intrinsic motivator of this is something that I love, and this is something that I love doing. And so what I'm trying to say is, it's okay to fail. okay? It's okay to do something else. It is okay to feel like you're not on the right track and not doing the right thing, and it's okay to switch, right? If you're young and you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, early 30s, you want to try as many things, you want to experience as many things in life as possible, because that is the only way that you're going to figure out what direction that you want to go in, right? But if you are sitting there thinking, I wonder what this person's going to think, I wonder what my parents think, I wonder what they're going to think if I quit, or if they think that I'm doing this or that. Guys, like, I'm literally here making YouTube videos that I feel like nobody's watching, okay? It took me such a long time to get to this point where I'm just comfortably able to just post it, comfortably able to just put myself out there, because I know how much I struggled before, and I believe that I have a story that somebody else could be like, I can relate to that, and I can be better, and I can follow, and I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. But my point is, like, don't be afraid to admit that you're struggling. Don't be afraid to admit that you're on the wrong path. Don't be afraid to admit that you need help. Okay, open up yourself, talk to people, talk to those closest to you. And let me remind you, the worst thing that could happen by pursuing something else, the worst thing is that you'll grow, you'll learn something, right? Because at the end of the day, none of us really know where we're headed. We have a general direction, we act and we do what we believe is right, and we go with our gut feeling. And for me, it's like, I could sit here and look back at those 12 years and think to myself, that was a waste of time, okay? Or my time as a bartender, because I bartended for 3 years, and say, why did I spend all my time doing that? But in reality, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and I truly believe that I get the skills that I learned as a musician, the skills that I learned as a bartender, what I learned from that failure, what I learned and how I got through that, and the resilience that it took me to get back up on my feet and pursue something else. Those are all things that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Things that even 10 years from now will be like, oh, like, that makes sense. Like, all of these experiences and all these failures and all these things that I went through were just preparing me for that one big moment. And I gotta admit, like, one of the most challenging things for me was seeing my friends progress, seeing their careers take off, and thinking to myself, like, why didn't that happen for me? And I just remind myself, like, everybody's life is different, everybody's purpose is different, okay? If I hadn't gone through those years, if I hadn't, gone through that dark, depressing, 3 to 4 years, I don't know what I would be doing today, right? And it's a lot to swallow, and it has been a lot to process, but I sit here today knowing, believing that I'm on the right path, because it's truly something that I'm passionate about, and I can see the vision. But at the same time, I'm so thankful for the struggles, because the struggles are just as important as the wins. And I've had some low lows, okay? The musician years, those 3 to 4 years in school, okay? I had some pretty serious health issues last year, where I almost took my life because I thought I was never going to get better. And I look back at these moments, and all these moments have shaped me into who I am today. And they are evidence that I'm able to bounce back stronger, to come back stronger, to elevate, to operate at a higher level, to be a better person, to just ultimately better myself. And all these experiences and all these things, life is trying to mold me into that person that I'm going to be in the future. And for me, I've learned to finally just abandon what, it doesn't matter whether people think. I don't care what my parents think, I don't care what my friends think, I don't care what anybody thinks, okay? Because this is your life, alright? This is your life, and it is up to you to go after what you believe in, because when you are 80 years old and you're on your deathbed, you're not gonna sit there thinking, that it was the right thing, that you cared what other people think. You're gonna say, damn, I just wish I had just gone for it. Just go for it, alright? Go for it and be willing to fail, alright? A failure is only somebody who refuses to keep trying, okay? As long as you keep trying and you keep trying and you keep staying ambitious and you keep striving to be better every day, you're gonna find your way, okay? And I'm not there yet, alright? But that's kind of my story with music. Truly believe that it has shaped me in so many ways today. And even with my business now, Iron Lyrica, obviously combining Iron with the gym and then Lyrica with music. It's this idea that you can be strong and you can be expressive and you can be able to perform at a higher level and always just be bettering yourself in some way. And so, guys, I don't know, I'm just kind of just rambling at this point, but I just want to say, like, if you're going through it, if you're having a tough time, like, keep going, okay? Keep going. The battle is only over when you decide to give up, but as long as you keep going, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm right there with you, and I just ask that anybody watching this video, I'm just sending you my best, okay? And I hope that this story of my past as a musician can be of an inspiration. I know I kind of glossed over a lot of parts. I can kind of go into more detail in a separate video, but I just felt called to share my experience and share just kind of how I've dealt with everything, because it's been extremely heavy and extremely challenging to navigate, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And so don't be afraid to go after your dreams. If you have a vision, that vision is real, and it's up to you to make it a reality no matter what anybody else thinks. So guys, if you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, because we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. I will see you in the next one.